Hi, everybody. Hello. My name is Jim Joseph, Dean of the Madden School of Business and Special Assistant to the President. Welcome to the 2018 Fall Madden Lecture. Creating a diverse and inclusive environment, doing well by doing good. President Linda Lemura and Provost Marina are with us this evening. The college leadership team is with us tonight, sprinkled around. I saw Roger a little bit earlier. I don't think Mike Madden is here tonight. I think he snuck out. He was here for the meeting earlier. Right, Mike? So we'll skip those remarks. Just tell him I fawned all over him. No, that's Joe Della Posta. I know the difference. A number of members of the Madden Advisory Board are here. We had 50 members both on the phone and present today at one of our largest meetings ever. To our loyal alumni and prominent members of the business community, board members, I see Pete here, Angela, many who are Madden mentors, thank you for being here. Many of Lemoyne's brilliant and dedicated professors are with us tonight, and students, we feel your presence in great numbers. Students, we feel your presence in great numbers. And how about a warm dolphin welcome to tonight's speaker, Kevin Walling, class of 1987. As we all know, Kevin is the Hershey Company's Chief Human Resources Officer. And a warm welcome to our distinguished panel, Nishant, Ryan, AJ, and Vero. Some of you may know this, but we want everyone to know this. Kevin Walling was a rugby player here, and he has a competitive streak. He loves benchmarking versus the competition. He defined the competition for me a few weeks ago with two questions. Jim, what was the best Madden lecture ever? Well, I was the 2010 Madden lecturer. No. I think you viewed about 5 or 6 videos. You watched Paul Galvin's talk last, and you said, I think I can do that. And the second question was, which corporation has hired the most dolphins in the shortest amount of time? That company in Detroit, of course, was the answer. 8 in 2 years, General Motors. Would you believe that Colleen Truitt, Director of Talent Acquisition, and Sydney Miller, District Sales Manager for Upstate New York, were here at 7:30 a.m. this morning interviewing students and finished at 5 o'clock this evening. And I heard that a number of them, to quote Kevin, crushed it. We're not surprised. And that a number are moving to the next round. So remember, gang, 9 in 2 years. That's the target. Please turn to the back of your program. Those of you who know and love me knew that I was going to go here tonight. The Madden School's vision. By 2021, through excellence in teaching and scholarship, the Madden School of Business will be ranked among the top business schools in the United States. Cast your eyes to the bottom of the program. These national rankings are nice, and they give us a strategic advantage during this critical recruiting season, no doubt about it. But more importantly, they give us credibility, and therefore a stronger platform which to do the more important work. What is that more important work? Let's continue with the vision statement together. Furthermore, through principled leadership grounded in the 500-year-old Jesuit tradition of social justice, we will be recognized as thought leaders in promoting business as a positive force in society. That is, the Madden School community will take a leadership role in developing an alternative voice within business education. Our platform will be ignited, the virtual community of Jesuit Business School educators. This two-pronged vision aligns with Le Moyne College's maxim, greatness meets goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we submit to you that Kevin Walling is the very personification of this vision. That's an applause line. As a matter of fact, about a month ago, a number of female leaders at the Madden School, and we're proud to say that 50% of our leadership are women. 33% of the school boasts faculty from all four corners of the world, came to me and said, "You have a problem. Your Madden lecturers are consistently people that look like you, Jim, and look like Kevin." So I called Kevin, and I said, "I've got a problem." And he said, "No, you don't. You don't have a problem. The Hershey Company is the most diverse, inclusive company in the Fortune 500 today. And our success is because all voices are at the table, not in spite of it." And that makes us all very proud. Welcome home, Kevin. Welcome home. This summer, Le Moyne College has been blessed with the return of Father Charles Aduke, PhD in philosophy. Father Aduke was part of the team that established the Jaramogi Odinga University of Science and Technology in Bondo, Kenya, where he just finished a 4-year term as Dean of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences and served as chaplain to the Catholic students and staff. From 2005 to 2008, Father Aduke was a member of the philosophy faculty here at Le Moyne, and now, after a 10-year absence, rejoins us as special assistant for diversity initiatives, and he's also teaching some courses. Father Aduke, please come forward and lead us in prayer.
As I walked across, I did not know whether I should genuflect or bow. Let us pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Almighty, ever-living God, you who is revealed to us through the variety of faith traditions represented by the women and men gathered for this modern lecture, we invoke your name in blessing upon all students, faculty, staff, alumni, and alumni of Le Moyne, and on all who give of themselves and their resources to make the Jesuit and Catholic mission of Le Moyne possible. We pray that your spirit of wisdom speak to us through the words of our keynote speaker, panelists, and invited guests. May the conversations we will have this evening inspire us to be generous with our talents so that we may continue to collaborate in working for the common good and in creating a diverse and inclusive environment that will enable us to do well by doing good. We make this prayer through our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever.
Yes, you should genuflect before the Madden School. That was beautiful. And now, Benny Williams, and many of you know Benny, Director of Inclusive Excellence in Global Education, and this year's winner of Le Moyne College's Magis Award, will introduce Kevin.
Kevin Walling is Senior Vice President, Chief Human Resources Officer for the Hershey Company. In this role, Walling serves as the Chief Architect for Hershey's Human Resources Strategy and Execution, including HR Analytics, Enterprise Talent Management, Diversity and Inclusion, organizational design, employee engagement, and total rewards strategies. Walling also oversees the corporate communications and CSR team responsible for advancing Hershey's global reputation, innovative community engagement, and globally responsible citizenship. Walling has 31 years of human resources experience, and before joining Hershey, he served as Vice President and Chief Human Resource Officer of Kennametal Inc., a global technology and manufacturing company located in Pennsylvania. In this position, he was responsible for human resource strategy and operations in over 60 countries. At Kennametal, Walling was instrumental in building a successful, customer-centric global organization that delivered record financial results. Walling's leadership also drove enhanced organizational performance and global improvements in talent, diversity, and inclusion. Walling serves on the board of directors of the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, where he is chair of the HR committee and the board of directors of Lancaster Country Day School. He is a former board member of the State of Pennsylvania Workforce Invest Board and previously served as an adjunct professor in the business school at St. Vincent College. He is a member of the HR Policy Association. He holds a bachelor's degree in industrial labor relations from the Moyne College. Please give your attention to Mr. Kevin Walling.
So I am humbled and thrilled to be with you this evening. President Lemira, Dean Joseph, thank you for this opportunity. So I work for a marketing company. So what I'm going to do to get us all going is start with a little Hershey, okay? So if we will. Okay, so tonight is not about Kevin. That introduction was very painful to listen to, okay? This is about you. So my aim this evening is to provide each and every one of you with some insights, right? With some perspective that is going to help you in your journey, that's going to change the trajectory on how you see your role, not just within a company, but on Earth. Now, it's broken into 4 segments. I'm going to do a little bit about the Hershey Company, because it's the employer that provides me a platform in which to do my job, get an income, but most importantly, do what I love to do, and that is make great companies through amazing people, okay? The best part of the evening will be the panelists that are here with us this evening. They represent the best of Hershey. Their stories are amazing. We want you to see yourself through their eyes, right? When you listen to their stories, find yourself, because they probably look like you, they think like you, they've come from similar backgrounds, which is all unique and all different, and that's what makes us great, okay? I'm going to do a little bit of life hacks. I was told that a little bit of insights about how you might think about your next stage. I'll offer some guidance there. Hopefully it will resonate. And the most important part, perhaps, after the panelists will be the Q&A. We want this to be interactive, okay? Sound fair? Okay, the only thing that was left out of the introduction that I must speak to are 2 things. One, The two things I'm very proud of, one is I am married, 22 years to my wife Denise, and I have two children, sophomore in college and a senior in high school. That's the greatest work that I've done, perhaps the most challenging work I've ever done, but I have to mention them, for without them, none of my work is possible. And the other thing is, I'm actually Alpha Sigma Nu, which many folks don't know, but I'm very proud to be an Alpha Sigma Nu member. So, okay. So a little bit about the Hershey through a video. It's a minute and a half.
At the start of the 20th century, a plain-spoken American entrepreneur had a bold idea: mass-produce chocolate and make it affordable for all. By 1903, Milton Hershey built the world's largest chocolate factory in rural Pennsylvania. Around it, he built homes for workers, parks for families, schools for kids, plus many conveniences of the modern industrial age. But Milton Hershey's dream went far beyond chocolate. With vision, tenacity, and courage, he created a land of opportunity. In 1909, Milton and Catherine Hershey started a school for orphan boys. Today, Milton Hershey School provides free housing, education, and medical care to thousands of disadvantaged boys and girls. It is symbolic of the purpose-driven brand that Hershey's grew to become. More than a century after our founding, opportunity, hope, and giving back remain our guiding principles. In the U.S. and around the globe, we hold true to our founders' purpose, bringing goodness to the world.
So many of you will be graduating trying to figure out, where do I want to work? Who do I want to be associated with? I want to talk to you about the Hershey Company in that context. Certainly I can brag about what an amazing employer I have the privilege of working for, but that's really not what it's about. It's to provide a framework, a lens by which you might assess the opportunities that you will have. And I want to make sure that this is one of the most important tenets for you to take away. Do you realize how blessed, how fortunate each and every one of you are to be a student in this time in the world's history? To be either a citizen of or here in the country, the most amazing country on earth, and to have the opportunity to learn at a Jesuit institution, specifically Moyne. You have everything you need to achieve greatness. It's before you. It's what you choose to do with it is the challenge that I want to talk to you about this evening. So Milton was a guy that tried and failed, and he failed a lot until he hit it big by taking chocolate to the masses. But he just wasn't content with being successful. He created communities that thrived as the business succeeded. The most important one, of course, is the school. But he also built homes and parks and recreation for his employees. And he made that because in his concept of doing well by doing good, he knew that by creating successful, healthy, thriving, education-based communities, that would propel his business even further. So I get the privilege of working with a company that not only has some of the world's strongest brands, and we have the marketers that can talk about the power of a Hershey brand that is equal to Apple or Nike or Google. And we do it in a really fun space. We make confection, right? And by the way, all of this confection will be yours at the end of the evening, so you have to stay until the end, okay? But the point of this is, when you go out into the workforce, you're going to have a choice, not just to take a job, but to start a career, to begin a journey. So make sure you pick an employer that you feel good about. By the way, I heard someone's phone ring. This is just the last warning. The next phone that rings, the person next to you gets to pick the song that you have to sing in front of all of us. It's a rule that I have had, for how many years now? Okay, so I meant to do it at the beginning. I could have gotten that person, but okay, I'm serious. Okay, so the purpose of this slide is to say, how fortunate all of us, the panel here and I, get to work and to be associated with an employer with such values, such integrity. And the important part of that is, it is in our DNA. It is who we are. It influences all that we do in all our decisions. Now, I wish the screen was bigger, but there are 3 things to point out. Many of you may not know the Hershey Company. We're about $7.5 billion in revenues. We're not so big. But in the spaces we play, we're number 1. We're number 1 in chocolate. We're number 1 in mint. Okay, you see that we rock. Like there's no one that comes to our brands. And for instance, Vera's going to talk to you about the Reese's brand. Who likes a Reese's cup? Okay, who doesn't? This is the woman that is responsible for the entire nearly $2 billion in retail sales. Okay? But perhaps the most important chart on the slide is the brown bar is the Hershey stock price. The blue bar is the S&P. I just want to point out, this is when I joined the company. The value of great HR is clear. So, Renee, just show that slide, okay? Okay. But these are some of the brands. And what does this do? So the brands are the lifeblood. Like when you are thinking about a company, you want to pick a company that has strong brands, because brands can have purchase power, has power in the marketplace, okay? Some of you know are very familiar. The fact is we're great at chocolate and confection and the indulgent side, but we recognize that a changing consumer also requires that we play in the whole spectrum of snacking. People are not eating 3 meals a day like they used to back in the 50s. They're having multiple smaller meals, and the aim of Hershey is to be a part of more of those snacking occasions. So what do you see there? Who here is familiar with Skinny Pop? Okay, we bought them, it was about a year ago, less than a year ago, $1.5 billion acquisition. They're based in Austin, Texas. An amazing brand. High growth, they're already off to a wonderful start. Any of you that eat beef jerky, there's Crave Beef Jerky. We bought that, it was a Sonoma Valley-based company because this high protein, low sugar, nutritious snack was important for us to play in. And then some others that we bought. So we've been very acquisitive in recent years. Why? We need to go where the future consumer is. And Ryan and Evan, the rest of the team here, will talk about that. Okay? But I just want to share a little bit about those brands. So you see, I talked about the school. You heard about the school. Those brands are profitable. We are a very profitable company. You saw the stock performance, right? There's this notion of purpose and performance that combined is unstoppable. Okay, so when you think about where you might want to work, think about that scenario, that equation when you go out into the workplace. Okay? Some $380 million, almost $400 million a year are paid in dividends that go to the school alone. So how is that school, with some 2,000 students, able to sustain? It's because of the profitability of our company. So as caretakers of Milton's legacy, it is a daunting accountability, responsibility to ensure that that school lives in perpetuity. Now, the trust has about $13 billion in assets. That's a pretty big number. But in order to sustain the school so they don't have to dip into their coffers there, we make sure that the Hershey Company is wildly successful. Now, we do trade on the stock exchange, so if you were a shareholder for the last couple of years, 10 years, you've done really well. You've outdone the market. Okay? Again, profit with purpose. Look for companies that, if that is your calling, you might consider that. I wanted to talk about the changing demographic, not only throughout the United States, but also within the company. And I'm sorry for the small screen again, but what you see here is the millennials and the Gen Zs, the increase in workforce since 2012. So within the last 6 years, if you can't read in the back, the Gen Zs have grown by over almost 1,500%, and the millennials by 72%. They will represent half of our workforce by 2020. So what does that mean? It means we had to think about how we were going to work differently, more collaboratively, better, to ensure that all 5 generations of Hershey could have a thriving career, could make a meaningful contribution, and could find success. And so these are some of the things that I just wanted to call out. For instance, the flex time is a simple premise of you don't have to be in the office to be productive. But the neat thing about that was it was the Women's Business Resource Group. So are you guys familiar with that term, resource group, where it might be African American, it might be Latino, it might be Asian? Well, the Women's Business Resource Group piloted the first flex time program in our China, China operation. We learned from that, we tested that, we then brought it to the US. So if you really want to get to a female population that are having children or that have different demands on their life, this policy enables us to get the best and the brightest and allowing them to work on a more flexible basis. The flex dress, so if you were in Hershey, Central Pennsylvania, we were very white, we were very male, and we were very conservative. That's not the case anymore. So you dress for the day. You know, this is the most I've seen Ryan dressed up ever. I think his wedding he was less dressed. If you're going to meet with a customer, you show respect, you show up dressed like you're ready for action. But if you're hanging out with your colleagues and you're just working on projects, jeans also work, right? Doesn't sound like much, but it speaks to kind of how we now have to work differently to accommodate the growing millennial and Gen Z population, which all of you kind of represent. You represent the future, just so you know. Okay? And we have to make sure that our culture is attractive to you. See, as the head of HR, I'm responsible for two things primarily: workforce and workplace. What does that mean? Workplace means culture, the environment. Do you come to work looking forward to hang out with your colleagues and make great happen, right? My job is to make that environment real every day. The workforce is all about ensuring that we have the skills, the talents, the capability that will make sure that we are successful for another 125 years, that we're anticipating what the needs are and building the talent through internal development, through hiring, so that we have the most skilled, capable workforce, the most diverse workforce to win. And these are just some of the things. So when you're a Hershey employee, you just don't show up. You play to win, number one, but you also play to help the communities in which you live and work. So whether it's this Children's Miracle Network or United Way, the picture in the middle there, Rise Against Hunger, we make, I think, 150,000 meals in one day that are then distributed across the globe to help with nutrition needs. We have a project in Africa called, what's it called? Project Peanut Butter, how creative. Thank you. And you know, where we are likely the only meal that some of these kids will have the entire day, right? So you get to play in those spaces, which is amazing. Like, so you just don't get to do your job, you get to help others. You get to make an impact, not only in the communities that you might live in, but across the globe. We had a China food kitchen that we were feeding, I think, 350 kids breakfast every day, okay? So think about who you want to hang with, who you want to start your career with. There are companies out there that do this stuff. If that's important to you, it's a great opportunity. And we believe that we get paid back a millionfold. Okay? And these are just some of the examples, and this is all on our website if you want to check it out. But this whole concept of doing well by doing good started with our founder. It's in our DNA, and we believe it helps us attract the kind of people that are going to drive incredible performance for our shareholders, right, for the rest of the employees, and for the broader community. It's a great, incredible, virtuous cycle. Okay? So that's the brief intro of the company. I want to get to the best part, and that is the panelists. So if you guys want to come up, please. Yeah. Okay. So we did prep a little bit. We'll go this way. So the panelists are here to tell you their story. Again, as I said, we want to give you insights and perspectives, not just from a white dude, but from someone that might look and sound like you, okay? And so if there's a question you want to ask it, okay? Raise your hand and we'll make sure it gets vetted. But let's start with Mr. Ryan Reese.
I am a white dude, so if you're looking for...
But you have to understand, he's the coolest of all the Hershey folks, right? That's his moniker. But Ryan runs social content for the Hershey Company, right? So we all know digital and social is so important. But why don't you talk about your journey? Well, first introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and then talk about your journey to the role that you are in today.
Absolutely. Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. So for those of you that are in this audience about to graduate and still don't know exactly what it is you want to do, you were certainly not alone, and you were probably very similar to all of us. So I graduated in '99 with an undergraduate degree in art history. I then took a job in the computer industry. I then decided that I wanted to do something different, and I went and got a master's in counseling. And then I went and worked at a college, a Catholic college in Austin, Texas, called St. Edward's. And after, I was actually dealing with a lot of you, but not in a positive way. I was the assistant dean of students in charge of discipline. So I decided there has to be more to life than suspending college students. And so I went and got my MBA at the University of North Carolina. And then I worked for the Hershey Company, where I've worked in marketing my whole career. And then currently, I have kind of 3 roles that I'm responsible for. One is social media. The second is PR, so earned media. And the last one, which is probably the most fun and most exciting, is I'm actually creating an in-house creative agency. So some of the commercials and TV that you'll see, as well as all the social, we're starting to produce in-house. It's a job I'm terribly underqualified for, but I'm having the time of my life doing it. And so it's just a great opportunity, and the company has been willing to invest in me, and so I continue to invest in the company. And it's a great opportunity to come to work every single day, and you have to give it your best, because without giving it your best, I just know I won't be able to achieve. And it's just an amazing opportunity, and thank you guys for having us here, and I look forward to speaking more with you.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Alicia Petros, but everyone at Hershey is my friend, and I go by AJ at the Hershey Company. I've been with the company for 5 years, and I have the pleasure of leading diversity, inclusion, and engagement for the sweetest company ever. So I'll tell you how I got to the Hershey Company. I was doing really similar work for Target Corporation in sunny Minneapolis. And Target had a little bit of success in the D&I industry, and a lot of companies were benchmarking with us. And I heard that the Hershey Company was going to come and talk with us. And so I started learning everything I could about Hershey, about the history of philanthropy and giving back, about the fact that the company was really on the right side of every major social issue that generally kind of upends many other organizations. The company had been extremely profitable for decades. And then Kevin Walling came with 2 people on his team. And the interesting thing was that we had a sales team. You had a sales team that was a block away, and they didn't want to talk to the sales folks. They didn't even want to talk to the folks at Target that bought the product. They just wanted to focus on diversity and inclusion. So I knew they were really serious about it. We also had a really spirited and lively debate about different things that we had done that we thought worked and some things we'd done that didn't work, and they were really interested in the conversation. Kevin also brought the largest bag of product I'd ever seen in my life. We were incredibly happy for 2 weeks after that. And for me, it was just another day at work, right? So I did prep. I looked everybody up on LinkedIn. I learned about them. We had a really great conversation, but that was it for me. And a couple weeks later, I heard that they were looking for somebody to take their D&I game to the next level. And so this is how kind of naive I was. I said, well, when I researched the company, they're on the right side of every major social issue. Kevin was certainly delightful. It seems like he'd be a really cool guy to work for. They came, and they only wanted to focus on D&I. They had money for jet fuel because they came in their private jet. That must be fun if you get to use that. And the company's been doing well, and they've been doing good a really long time. That would be a really great job. If I can think of anybody who might want that, I'll let you know. Right? At which point, it wasn't too many weeks after that I had the pleasure of working for Kevin. But I share that to say that all of you have really unique skills and gifts. And it's important that when an opportunity is presented, you see it as such, and you kind of go for it, okay? And when your passion and purpose are aligned, as Kevin talked about, that's where you can make wonderful things happen. So I am delighted to be here. Thank you to faculty and staff. And I'm also delighted to learn from you guys tonight.
Great. AJ's being incredibly humble. So first thing, it's not good to steal talent from one of your largest customers. I learned that. But the second thing was, so when I started some 8 years ago with the Hershey Company, we weren't known as such a diverse company as we needed to be. And together, actually under AJ's leadership, we have transformed the company, such to the point where we have been recognized nationally for some of the most amazing accolades. So we made DiversityInc, which is the standard by which all diversity is measured. We made number 33, which is just a huge undertaking. We got top ranks for LGBTQ, we got top ranks for veterans and women executives. Our Hershey executive team, we have 4 female leaders. Last year, one just retired, but we had a female CFO, a female CEO, a female general counsel, and a female growth officer, 2 of whom were African American. There was only one other Fortune 500 company that came close to that diversity. Okay? And then importantly, we are diversifying every level of the company, from the manufacturing shop floor all the way through. This is because of AJ's leadership that we've received this kind of not only recognition, but most importantly, we're changing the face of Hershey and we're performing better because of it. So thank you, AJ.
Hi. So my name is Nishan Kumar. I work in the corporate strategy department. I've been with the Hershey Company for 4 years now, going into my 5th. And as I reflect on the question that Kevin asked of what led me to being here, I wish I could tell you it was a calculated journey where I knew at every step what the next step would be. But the path was messy, and it doesn't look like it if you look at my resume. So before I joined the Hershey Company, I was in strategy consulting for almost a decade, and I worked in our Chicago office, our London office, our San Francisco office, our Sydney, Australia office, our Munich, Germany office, our New York City office, our Atlanta office. And every time I'd go to interviews, as you often do when, the more sort of seniority you have, recruiters call you and they want to talk to you, I would tell them that, of course I planned it out deliberately because I wanted international exposure, and I thought that I wanted exposure to different business cycles and different economies and work with different clients. The reality of it was that I was still trying to find myself through these different experiences and really try and figure out, by putting myself in uncomfortable positions, who I was, what my purpose was on this planet, and hopefully find something that won my heart as much as it won my head. So when I interviewed for the Hershey Company, I think immediately the thing that struck me the most was one of the executives who's no longer with the company. He was someone who, just within the 1 hour that we spent together, created such a sense of safety for me to be my authentic self, to bring everything that I am, everything that I think may not be acceptable to someone of his stature, to talk about my belief systems, all of it to the table. And he embraced all of me in such a short period of time that I left quite stunned that that was even possible. So a little about me in terms of sort of other dimensions of me. I'm a gay man. I'm happily married. I've been with my husband for 5 years now. We have a 9-year-old son together who we raised in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I'm an atheist. I've never subscribed to religion, and I don't believe in God. I'm a first-generation immigrant to this country. Beyond that, there is a whole range of other likes and beliefs and experiences that make me different. And I always thought that I had to maneuver through life by editing myself to best fit the room I was in and the audience that I was presenting to. And what Hershey, especially the leadership team, has allowed me to do and has allowed and supported me in my evolution the past 4 years is give me the confidence and the courage to be myself and realize that the best way that I can serve the company's purpose, our commitments to our shareholders, as well as really connect authentically with my peers who now feel like family, is by being myself. And I come in every day challenged, I come in eager, I come in ready to unleash what little talents I have. And I have such passion and love and loyalty for this company. in a way that I've never felt in my career before. So I would say, in terms of messages to impart to you guys, at this stage in life, I had no idea that I would ever pursue a career in strategy. In fact, when I was sitting in rooms like these, I actually wanted to be Simba in The Lion King and be in musical theater in New York City. And you can see how my life turned out, and I'm actually really glad it turned out this way. So we'll continue the dialogue as we continue the panel, but thank you for having me.
Just one example. So I was told to tell stories that it might help relate. So when Michelle Buck, who was our first female CEO, took the reins, took the helm of this iconic company, her first meeting with leadership was to talk about her vision for what the culture and the environment should include. Nishant was selected to be one of the key speakers to help us understand kind of his lens, his perspective, and what was it that we can learn from him. So it speaks to not only Michelle, our CEO, but also kind of the courage that Nishant and others had sharing their story. When Nishant spoke, I'm telling you, you could have heard a pin drop, the power of his message. So we're so grateful to have Nishant on the team. Okay, Vera.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vero. Well, everyone calls me Vero. My name is Veronica Villasenar. I'm the responsible person for Reese's and marketing. I was born and raised in Mexico. I've been with the company for 16 years in total. Right after college, I started working at Hershey. I worked there for 5 years back in Hershey, Mexico, and then I was asked the question, would you like to move to Hershey, Pennsylvania? At first, I was like, I'm having so much fun and learning so much in the role that I have right now in Mexico. Bring it on, let's do it. So my husband and I, he works also at the Hershey Company. We moved to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Big change for us. We've been there for 11 years. We have created our own family. We have 3 children who love going to Hershey Park every other weekend. It is fun. But I'm being blessed, right? Like from the beginning, studying marketing in college, I knew that I wanted to work at a global company with global brands, with great marketing. So I knew probably I had to move at some point from Mexico. It was hard for me. My family is super, super united. Pretty much I am the first rebel out of my family moving that is not in the same country or in the same city. So it was a big change for us, but I don't regret it. I will say the company has trusted me, always given me big challenges, that they believe more in me than I believe in me at the beginning, and I'm grateful for that. I come to work every day really excited. I love what I do. Working on Reese's, honestly, is the best brand ever. I really love what I do. I have a great, amazing team. And the culture that Kevin was talking about, like, it's really powerful. Like, you really like to be there, and you enjoy doing what you're doing. So I cannot speak any other things but like great things about the Hershey Company.
So I just want again to dimensionalize the size of Vero's role. She's quite humble. She's being quite humble. So the Reese's brand is nearly $2 billion in retail sales. Think about that number, okay? She leads it. Should we show the commercials?
In the
next question, okay. So she has some of her product, some of her work to share with you. But the other fun fact is, Ryan used to work for Vero, right? So he'll get a performance review after this discussion tonight as well. Okay, so we wanted you to kind of hear the story, and for those of you that have studied Indian religion, or you know Lord Ganesh, right, and his narrow winding trunk, which is kind of a path to ultimate learning, it's never straight. It takes many different turns, and you never know what to expect. But all of these folks have talked about kind of this core of wanting to be better, of wanting to make a difference, and of like incredible performance. Many of the Jesuit ideals that you are learning here align to not just religion, but to life. And if your life wants you to take a role in a corporation, in a company, there's a lot of synergy there. There's a lot of opportunity to take what you're learning here and apply it in whatever arena you choose to operate in, okay? So I want you to listen to their journey, their story. No one journey is perfect, okay? And so wherever you are is where you're going to start from. And that's what we want to, again, talk about tonight, is how is it that you can think differently about the trajectory of what's possible and what your potential is. Okay, so we were going to talk about why you guys chose Hershey, because these guys could work anywhere, literally. So when you have a talented team like this, they get to choose where they work, when they work, all those kinds of things. So it's kind of like managing a professional sports team, right? Star talent, you have to take care of them, you have to nurture them, but most important, you have to invest in them. Okay? So one of the things that I thought anyone could start, but why is it that you continue, why is it you chose Hershey and continue to work at the Hershey Company?
I can do it.
You were my boss, so
Okay. Ryan. Well, at first for me, I spoke a little bit about that earlier, but the first thing as a marketing undergrad was, well, the brands, right? Amazing brands, consumers love them, great marketing. It was really appealing. But then when I started doing my research and prepping for interviews back in Mexico, it was, the story of Milton Hershey, like really understanding the purpose, like really giving back to the community, to the employees. It was just like larger than life, not just doing what you like to do, but actually helping others. So that was like the reason why I was like, definitely, I want to apply for this job and I want to actually get it. And then after I started working at Hershey, the culture, like seeing it in Mexico, but consistently here, that is your second family. Like Hershey is really like, we spend time there, right? But these are the people that really make it as well. Every day for us to really work together, to win in the marketplace, to have great marketing, to really deliver growth for the organization, for the stakeholders. So it's the three things: brands, the purpose, and the people.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, when you're in your senior year, or if you're in business school, and a lot of companies will come to recruit, and you quickly find that what every company tells you is different about them. What makes them really special is the people, it's the culture, it's the brands. And everything they're saying is different about them is what the previous 10 companies just told you as well. And you have to you get a feeling though. And you can feel, I think by the end of the night, you will know that we genuinely know each other, genuinely like each other, and that we genuinely love our company. And you could just feel it in the Hershey presentation. After going to 25, 30 presentations from all top CPG companies, which stands for Consumer Packaged Goods, Hershey was just different. I just felt that they were real, and as a marketer to Vero, I was really passionate about the brands. And why I stay, there's kind of two reasons. One thing is, Nishant shared a little bit about his life, but for me, your life is always more important than your job. Like, your life is your life. And for me, what I think is really important is when I moved to Hershey, my wife wanted to stay home and she wanted to have a family. We struggled in that area, but there was a great hospital, and we went through IVF, and we were blessed to have 2 kids. One of them knows that they were frozen for 2 years. It's kind of a weird situation at home, to be honest, but I feel like when the time comes for the talk, it's going to be much easier. It'll be like, no, you were literally made in the hospital lab, which I think is going to be a lot easier for them to handle and for me to give. So, but it's a place where, like, for me now, they have great hospitals. They have, it's safe, so I can leave and I can afford to live there. So my wife wants to be a stay-at-home mom. That's what she's always wanted to do. And for me to be able to go to work as hard as I absolutely can, come home and see them every single day, not worry about their safety, have them go to great schools. As a father and as a husband, that's the most important thing to me, to feel like I'm providing for my family and giving them that great opportunity. And then when I'm at work, I'll be at work like as tense as can be, like mad and expressing myself hopefully in a more positive way, but like at an agency, and the next minute I'm at home I would be at home with my baby that was in the NICU, crying, holding her. And then I'm leave to go downstairs and I get a text message and I'm fiery again. But it's that figuring out in your life where you can be somewhere that you have all of yourself satisfied, where you can be competitive at work and have that desire to win, but at the same time have that family life that you've always wanted and hope for yourself.
That's really cool. The thing that really sold me on Hershey, albeit from the thoroughly engaging and exciting debate we had with Mr. Kevin Walling, when I was at Target, that was a shameless plug for you, was the night before our interview with Kevin, I had a tour of Hershey, PA. And a large part of the tour was being on the campus of the Milton Hershey School. And at the center of the campus, there's a huge building called Founders Hall. And it's a ginormous, like, multi-story building, and there are seals from every state flag in the country and many other countries around the world. And it represents all of the children who've benefited from a world-class education by being a part of the Milton Hershey School. And so for all of you out there, how many of you, by show of hands, want to belong to something that is larger than what you do in a given day, right? How many of you want to do something great in the world, right? And have a bigger purpose, maybe than just beyond the 9 to 5. So I got to tell you, my mom was a teacher in the Detroit public school systems for 38 years. Janet Tinsley deserves a medal. And so for me, education has always been really important. And so for me to have the opportunity to work for an organization that gives back to the world in such a meaningful way for me and my family, you know, I was in that hall and I said, Self, you got to do really well in these conversations tomorrow, because this is something that you need to be a part of, right? So I sincerely feel that. The thing that keeps me is that we work with really fun, bright, engaging people. And our business is not always easy. There are many challenges that we face, but it is fun. And we are winning. And because we're winning, we're improving the world. And that's honestly why I stay. Yeah.
I think the only thing I'll add, because I agree with everything obviously that everyone said, is do your due diligence in the company. I think we've talked about a lot of the factors that relate to the heart, which is so important. But I think we should talk about the thing that I'd like to add to this conversation is just factors that relate to the head, which is the underlying performance of the company historically and your perspective based on your due diligence on how the company is positioned to perform into the future. Do the due diligence to read the annual report. Do the due diligence to read the investor reports, read analyst reports, read CNBC commentary on the companies that you're interested in, and develop your own point of view on a few things. I think I could get technical, but I won't. But to keep it really simple, one, be clear on what you think the endowments are of the company that give it competitive advantage into the future. Certain sort of technical measures to look at might be things like historic R&D spend, level of debt in the balance sheet, the sheer size and scalability of the business model. But to kind of think about it simply, what do you think the company has, either in terms of assets or capabilities, that would be really difficult to replicate to any other competitor out in the marketplace? And do you believe that those assets and capabilities will continue to have relevance into the future as the environment that the company operates in changes? And I think that's really important to establish for yourself, regardless of what people who come to the company and talk to you say about their business model. I think the second thing to sort of keep in mind is trends. And these are things that the company is confronted with that could either be tailwinds for the business or headwinds for the business. And often the picture is a lot more complicated than saying one trend is completely an opportunity or something that is a barrier for growth. But I think it's important for you to be crystal clear in given all the learning that you're getting from this institution, what you believe are the top 2 or 3 trends that at the global level, at the geographic level in the country that we operate in, are going to affect all businesses. And then step back and think about how do you think the company that you are thinking about joining is responding to those trends? Are they acknowledging those trends? What moves are they making that position them for enduring success and longevity? And then finally, something that's a lot easier to sort of track based on your due diligence is just what are the moves that management is making, or what are the moves that you think they ought to make, and against the scorecard of the moves you think they ought to make, how are they performing? So some things to look for are I think first off, do they have an M&A program? I think M&A is something that we've done a really terrific job of the last 2 years to diversify our business, to diversify our portfolio, and play in more snacking occasions. I think that is something any company in this day and age needs to do. It's a lever that you need to excel at. I think a couple of other factors are just the cost structure and the margin structure of the business. If the business doesn't have an attractive margin, regardless of what its mission is, it will never achieve it. So looking at the margin of the company that you aspire to or you are considering applying to and how that compares with other peers, I think is an important, very simple, easy to get metric to look at and assess how the company is actually performing. Companies often announce their productivity programs, understanding the scale of their productivity programs, what that looks like, where they're looking to cut costs, where they're looking to build new muscles. That's important as well. And then finally, the strength of their innovation model and their innovation program. What products have they put out in the world recently? How successful those products have been speaks a lot about their inherent strengths as a business. So I'd be happy to sort of talk to you guys separately about other such sort of technical indicators. But I think it's important to balance that with the heart and make sure you make a fully informed decision that is right for your career.
As you can probably figure out, like, Nishant's a little brighter than the average person. So
So you know what can I say?
So,
What I was just going to say, so he just demonstrated the number one principle that I've followed since I became a manager. Hire people that are smarter than you, right? And so what Nishant said for the rest of us is, look for a company that has growth, that has big brands, and that you work for a good boss. That's a recipe. Like, so I couldn't even repeat what you said.
yeah, mine is like, make sure like you dress
Holy
appropriately, like have a tie on. It would be my advice. Nishant, that was a little bit like, I would never get a job if that was what was required. So, but that, yeah. So the world needs all of us, not just Nishant. So don't be too worried. Yeah, fortunately for us.
Did you answer this already? Okay.
I did. There's one, yes.
Oh, she did.
Okay. And what was the question I was supposed to ask you so you can show your videos?
Oh, it's like, what have I done to actually be on the Reese's brand? Like, what is the
What
recipe
did you
for-
do to deserve the leadership role for the Reese brand, hero? Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I guess working hard is the first one. Some of the values and behaviors at the Hershey Company that are important are passion for winning, right? Ryan spoke about that a little bit, like really being committed to the business, driven, like really strive for delivering results, and ownership, like really managing this as if it was your own business. So that's how the mindset in marketing is really all about owning the P&L. We just don't do cool things. I'm gonna show you a cool thing today, but we don't only do that, but it's really managing your P&L, like gross sales, how are you like doing in performance, market share, how are you doing versus your competition. We work every day with every single team in the company, operations, finance, sales. It is really about managing this as if it was your business. So Reese is a $2 billion brand. It's a pretty big business for us. The company trusted me with the jewel, so I'm very happy, and I'm doing all I can do to deliver results. The last one I will say is taking risk. I will say I was a person who was risk avert. I was always, the recipe that has worked, why don't we continue doing that? But you cannot expect to deliver results and growth if you just keep doing what you have been doing for years, right? So we had this great campaign called Perfect. You saw a little bit of those commercials in the reel that Kevin showed earlier today. It's a magnificent campaign. It worked for 10 years, delivering a strong retail performance, the best return on investment that we had in the portfolio. If you really wanted to deliver growth, we asked the question, actually, Ryan was still on the Reese's brand when we were working on this together. So how can we expect growth if we don't do something different? So talking with consumers, really understanding what do we need to do to move forward the brand and continue to deliver this strong growth. We came up with a new campaign, Not Sorry, and I'll show it to you in a minute. This was all about, hey, well, let's manage risk. On one hand, we know there are key elements that our consumers love about our campaign. The Reese's orange, they always recognize Reese's because you see the big, bright orange, right? We know consumers really love our product. They love to see the product. So there were elements that we wanted to keep, but how do we elevate what we are showing our consumers in media? So one of the key changes was, let's show them real product. The perfect campaign show illustration. It was imagery. It wasn't real product photography. So we changed that. The second one is, in 10 years, we never had a voiceover. So how do we really break through and get our consumers to actually see our communications and hear it? So those two changes, we made it. The campaign launched back in July. Has anyone seen Not Sorry? Okay, few hands. So this campaign actually, in terms of managing risk, so we took the risk, and we are delivering pretty much exceeding all the norms in performance, from awareness, persuasion, everything that you want to hear as a marketer, the campaign is doing it. So I'm going to show you today a reel of a few of those commercials that they started in July, but we're also showing you for the first time, this is the premiere. No one has seen these holiday commercials. It's holiday, it's Christmas, so they are not on air. So you will see it for the first time ever. I don't think even our Chief Growth Officer has seen them yet. So we can share that.
Okay.
Does this make you want a Reese's? Oh, how about this? Okay, we'll stop. Just kidding. We're not gonna stop. Not sorry. Reese's. Did you already brush your teeth tonight? Well, guess tonight's gonna be a two-brush night, right? Not sorry. Reese's. If only there was a place nearby you could get one of these. Or these. Good thing they're sold literally everywhere business is done. I'm pretty sure you could buy them at a bank. Not sorry. Reese's. Is it too early to start celebrating Halloween? Well, if you're celebrating by eating Reese's, then no. You're actually late. Not sorry, Reese's. Here's a good Halloween trick. Buy a bunch of Reese's. There you go. Turn off all the lights in your house. Yeah. And then you just don't answer the door. Not sorry, Reese's. These little cups would make great stocking stuffers. But how about right now in your mouth stuffers? Happy holidays to your mouth. Not sorry, Reese's. Christmas trees try so hard. Lights and ornaments and little choo-choo trains, come on. The best trees, they kind of only need two things. Peanut butter and chocolate. Not sorry, Reese's.
Okay, how about that? So who remembers about a year ago the campaign that started All Trees Are Beautiful with the Reese's? Remember the Christmas holiday? Ryan was the dude that came up with, we were getting feedback that doesn't look like a tree, fix it. And then he came up with this beautiful tagline. Talk about it. It's just incredible.
Yeah, so basically we had just done some work and basically said our brand's going to be unapologetic. That's going to be our brand personality. And so we get back from Thanksgiving, and the VP at the time comes to me and says, we have a huge problem. People are saying our product looks like poop. And I was like,
Can we say this in the chapel? I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I have been very nervous in here. At least I can tell my mom that I went to church. So, sorry, fathers. So basically, I'm sitting there, and the whole thing is like, well, we need to apologize. I mean, we need to say, hey, everything's fine with the product. We'll go to the plant. We'll let everyone know it's okay. No worries. And I said, what part of unapologetic is issuing an apology? That's what a corporation says. That's not what our brand says. So within an hour, I sent someone to a tree farm, because the first idea was basically who decides what a tree looks like? I mean, is there one tree out there? I mean, that was kind of ridiculous. But then the next idea was basically just say, hey, let's just own it. Let's just say all trees are beautiful and not apologize at all. And the campaign just took off. I mean, it was crazy because like George Takei from like Star Trek retweeted it on the same day that like Lil Wayne did, and I was like, never in my career would I think I would get either one of those to retweet something, let alone both of them the same thing. So we ended up winning a Cannes Lion, which was, you know, my ego was big before, huge afterwards. But it was just one of those times where, you know, similar is like you just have to have the courage to do something. I mean, the safe route, to Vera's point, the safe route is always to do what you're doing right now. But you will never really get ahead if you just take the safe route. And I think people always overestimate risk. There really wasn't a huge amount of risk. You know, people were already saying it looked like poop. I mean, so who cares, right? We might as well, it can't get any worse. So we just kind of owned it, went for it, and it turned out to be really successful because I think people appreciated that we were just being honest. I find these commercials to be the most honest commercials you can find. We are literally advertising, saying that we want you to buy our product and we don't feel bad about it. Is there anything more honest that a corporation could say? So I think, you know, for me, it's having that courage to kind of do what you think is right, do what you think is the right thing to do, even if it's not necessarily the most popular.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to look at Jim and how we're doing with time.
I see a very engaged audience.
Okay, we want to be sensitive to the evening.
Not all of them, but just
Yeah. Yeah, who got extra credit for showing up? Okay, there we go. That's honesty. Okay, so why don't we just, one more round with the panel, if that's okay. What advice would you give this amazing student body, like aspiring young college students that are in some part of their freshman, junior, sophomore, senior year journey? What advice would you offer them?
For me, it's quick advice. I give it to everyone. It's two pieces. One is find out what you're good at. Like when you're in your class, you're just naturally better than your other classmates at it. And it could be you're very creative. It could be you're very analytical. It could be you're very organized. Find those things that you're really good at and steer your career, whatever path you are, find those opportunities to showcase that. It's just something that like you were given by God that you just happen to have that ability. Showcase that. Too many people are trying to build up their weaknesses. Lean into your strengths because the world needs all of your strengths. And so it's much better to have a team. No one wants a basketball team where everyone's 6'4", right? You need someone that can dribble. You need someone that's 7 feet. You don't want a team of a bunch of average people. You want people that are great at stuff. So be great at what you're good at and just really focus on that and make sure that you're showcasing it. The next thing is really simple. It was given to me by a priest, and I said, how do you make decisions? He said, I quickly learned that regardless of whatever decision I make, the next decision is hard. If you make a great decision, it's not like the rest of your life is easy. You make a great decision, you still are faced with tough decisions. You make a bad decision, you're still faced with tough decisions. So don't be afraid. You make the decision with the information that you have at that moment, and then you move forward.
Yeah, sage advice. I would say all of you are so fortunate because you'll have the chance to work in careers that haven't even been defined yet, which I think is so exciting. But do a lot of things to get to that place that Ryan is talking about so that you understand what you do really well, right? And then once you figure that out, keep doing it again and again and again and get better at it. The second thing I would say is that the quality of your life is going to be determined to a large extent by the folks that you hang out with, right? Your friends, even family, and the folks that you choose to spend a lot of your time with. So I've been fortunate to be married for 30 years. Now here's how that math works out. We got married, we were 2 and 3. Our parents were extremely liberal, right? Exactly. But I gotta tell you, at the end of the day, there's nobody I love hanging out with more than Lance Petros. And we've relocated, I think, 11 times or so. And we're kind of on our Bloom Where You're Planted program. But because of that special relationship that I have with him, my life is really, really rich between that and the fun that I get to have at work. So choose the folks that you spend your time with wisely.
So I have 30 technical indicators for you to memorize. I would just say quite simply, if I think of my career, I could break it down to 3 phases. The first one being I had this inherent belief in hindsight that I wasn't important. The second one being I realized I was important. And the third one being that I'm living through now, which is I want to work on something that's important. And the only piece of advice I'd give you is get to stage 3 as fast as you can.
I guess like one quick and sweet is just don't be afraid to make mistakes. At the beginning of your career, you're going to be learning, and you will learn from making mistakes as well. So don't be afraid of that, but learn fast. Like, don't make the same mistake several times.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to follow that same theme in the form of life hacks, okay? I was told that might resonate. My daughter said that might resonate with you all. Okay, so the first one is, you don't have to be the smartest, okay? Just be the most prepared. Show up and mean it. That's not so hard, okay? This notion about your I can is far more important than IQ. I am living proof. Everyone on my team, I'm not just saying it to be humble, is smarter, faster, stronger than I am. Just ask AJ, she will tell you, okay? No, but the serious part of that is, you know, if you want it, okay, get ready. If you want that job, let them know that you want that job. Tell them that you are going to be the right and best hire for that opportunity. And whether that's on campus or when you graduate. But you got to want it more than the next person, okay? And they might want it equally so. So what are you going to do to differentiate that? Okay, so be prepared. I'll go quick because I know we want to get to Q&A. Okay, so one of the things at the Hershey Company is, excuse me, language in the front, we have a no asshole rule, okay? But let me be more specific. When you go interview at some company, know that they're watching you. How you treat the administrative person that you're working with, how when you walk into the building you deal with the receptionist, okay? They're watching. And if you're arrogant and if you're not humble, you will not be on their team, okay? No matter how elevated you might get in your career, always remember that there are thousands of people that make your life possible, and always be thankful. Always be humble. I can't tell you the power of humility, not just at the Hershey Company, but in most places, right? You want to work for someone that has a servant leadership mentality. Okay, the plant there, the picture there, AJ's in the front, I'm in the back, that's usually the case. That is a plant of some 30 or 35 deaf employees at our Guadalajara plant. So we created a whole section of the plant that enables the deaf employees to work. So we don't have buzzers and bells, we have lights. Without that employment opportunity, they would not be employable. It's one of the most powerful things we've ever done down in that facility, okay? You go visit those people, it is like amazing. Okay, this notion of every day is day one. What does that mean? So I start with Moyne. Moyne was the most amazing foundation for me, okay? I'll give you one quick story. So I had the benefit of Father Ned Conklin. I don't know if he passed recently, but he was a gentleman, he was a priest, he was a teacher who one day, just in happenstance, walking from the Gruen Hall to Nelligan. By the way, I lived in Nelligan for 4 years, okay, right? There you go. Now this is even scarier, 3 years in the pit, right? So I deserve a medal. So I'm walking down through the campus, and he goes, Walling, he goes, you're here not just to get grades or to perform well academically. What you're here for is a foundation of values, of principles, so that when you get a chance to make a decision, when you are in a leadership role, you will know what to do. You will have the Jesuits' ideals and values embedded in you, okay, so that when you get to make the decision, you get to do the right thing because it's the right thing. And that will actually not only deliver great commercial success, you'll create great success in all sorts of fashions. And that was, I can still remember the walk, I can still remember the conversation, and it wasn't about grades, it was about what is it that you'll take away from this great institution, and how is it that you'll be able to deploy that when you get out of here. Now, the other thing, this notion about every day is day one. I've been blessed to work for 6 companies. My wife and I have lived and moved 7 times in our life. okay? And every time I wake up, even tomorrow, when I wake up, I have to demonstrate that I am the best for my job. There is no second gear, okay? It is full blast all the time. Now, we're talking about Hershey as this great, idealistic place. Let me tell you, it is a tough place. You have to perform at the highest level every day. So you show up, you have to be ready to beat the next person, but not beat them at their expense. You work with them to get better collectively, but you have to demonstrate that if there's a next promotion, they're going to choose you, okay? I shared a story when I was at Pepsi where there was 6 of us that shared a cubicle space together. All 6 of us became CHROs of a Fortune 500 company. What are the chances of that? But I will tell you, we were the most competitive group you could ever imagine. But when any one of us needed help, we stayed until 2 a.m. to help the other person with their presentation, because we knew we were better together, okay? And so, but you showed up to win. There was no mistaking. We all wanted that next job, but you didn't do it at the other person's expense, okay? And so the point about every day is day one, my team laughs at me when I say it, we have to prove our value, not just as an HR person, but as a business person, every day, okay? Don't take that as daunting. Take it as exciting. It is invigorating. It is the best thing for you as an individual and for the team that you work with. Okay, so actually AJ said this. Be very thoughtful who you spend your time with, okay? It's been shown that the 5 people that you spend the most time with will be those that influence the trajectory of your journey most. So you're going to hang with people that like to play Fortnite till 3 in the morning? Or go to happy hour at 2 p.m. versus 5 p.m.? Okay? Who's hitting the library? Who's not? Right? Who's demonstrating the characteristics, the values, the behaviors that will make them successful long term? That's what matters. I know there's a lot of pressure on the student body. I get it. I hear it from a lot of folks. Stop worrying about the next 5 years. Worry about the next 5 days or the next 5 hours, okay? So when you have a choice to invest in yourself, to do something that's going to make you better, stronger, do that versus spending an hour on Instagram, okay? So this notion of who you spend your time with is really important. Okay, we talked about this. Make others around you better. Key to success in life is when you help others be successful. The financial success that you might get in a job, it rings hollow if you haven't taken others along with you, okay? I'm telling you, there are so many folks that might have achieved money, but they haven't achieved friendship or built a great team or made others better. Those folks are really unhappy. They have no platform. They have no foundation. Take the time to help others. Okay, invest in yourself. We've kind of touched upon that. Be a lifelong learner. I think AJ said it. The jobs that you're going to work in, okay, they're not even around yet. So when I graduated, gas was 95 cents a gallon. There were no cell phones. There were no computers. Google hadn't been invented. Think about that. The whole world is social, digital, how it's changed. Okay? So how is it that you can make sure that you are ready for what's coming? Because it's coming faster and faster. Okay? I don't know if I'm just calling out one particular author, Tim Ferriss. Who is a Tim Ferriss fan? Okay. You should either buy his book, Tribe of Mentors, or listen to his podcasts. They're free. What Tim does is he finds the best in the world at all sorts of different things, and he deconstructs their success. And so, again, you can listen to a Tim Ferriss podcast, or you can play Fortnite for an hour. Make your choice, okay? And then you'll be able to take his amazing insights and learnings and make yourself better. Okay, so do the job no one else will, okay? When I left Lemoyne, I had an opportunity to work for a local company in Syracuse, but it really didn't resonate with me. It wasn't exciting. And I wanted to graduate with the job, okay? It was really important to me. And I chose not to take the job because it just didn't make sense. And so I took a job in West Virginia. Anyone here from West Virginia? Okay. Do I say more? But no, I'm a New Yorker, to live in Parkersburg, West Virginia, in a manufacturing environment, because I knew that was the platform, the catalyst by which I needed to go to start my career, right? I worked shift work. It was not the most glamorous work. I started as a technical training specialist, okay? That's like the lowest on the food chain, okay? But I knew it was going to be the platform to help me understand what I needed to do in corporate life, in corporate America, okay? So don't be afraid to raise your hand and to do the things that others won't do, because it not only will make you better, it will demonstrate to people that are watching that you'll do what it takes, right? And then the next time another opportunity comes up, they'll pick you. Don't be afraid to do the job. Okay, never stop giving back. That's just a picture of me. That was in Ghana. It's one of our food projects there and school projects. So one of our primary philanthropies is child nutrition and child education, in line with Milton Hershey. And so that's just a picture of that. So I will tell you that, you know, the opportunity to use my platform to give back is like some of the most rewarding work I could ever hope for. One quick story. So when I got to Hershey, the Children's Miracle Network, we have an amazing children's hospital right in Hershey. The Children's Miracle Network needs money to buy equipment to help the kids that are really sick. And so at the Hershey Company, for decades, they have raised amazing money to help the hospital. And when I got there, I was asked to kind of shepherd the charity. And so, in looking at it, one of the events, I'll just give you one story, we do a golf outing. So I look at the golf outing, and it was great. A lot of employees would show up. It was a lot of fun. We played golf on Milton Hershey's birthday. I mean, it was great, right? We only made, like one year we made $17,000. That's nothing, okay? The point of it is, put the right team against that charity, that one event, we made $258,000 in one day in May. Now, I get to do that because of the team like Heidi and AJ that participate in that thing, but like my platform enabled me to kind of help with that agenda, and the benefits are just amazing. So if you make that part of your journey, I'm telling you, life is so much sweeter. And the last one is enjoy the journey. If you can imagine, I know it's hard to see, I was the RA, this was my floor back from like 1986 or 87. I've been carrying an American flag since I was born, just so you know. This is when I graduated. I actually did graduate from Moyne. Dennis Gagan, for those of you that know Dennis, that's our picture there. This happened to be a picture of car karaoke. You know, have you ever seen that on TV? And we were doing that to recognize some of our best employees in our Milton Hershey Awards ceremony. And that's my family there. So, you know, the journey for me, I've been so blessed, I've been so fortunate. I will tell you, it's possible. It's for you to take. It's for you to seize. There's no better platform for you to start tonight. And I don't want to be Pollyannish here. I don't want to sound naive. But it's really just a matter of how bad do you want it, right? This is a demonstration of excellence, right? Hopefully you found yourself up in this panel here, or perhaps with me, okay? You know, I told a story like, you know, when I started, I didn't know what the heck to do. Like, my dad was an electrician, my mom was a stay-at-home. When I went for my first interview in West Virginia, my mom goes, go out and get a suit, okay? So she and I went to JCPenney, and instead of buying a navy blue suit, she bought me a gray Glen plaid suit with a yellow tie. That is not what you wear to an interview, okay? The point is, even with those kinds of learnings, you can still, you know, you can still make great happen. Right? You can still make great. And that's actually one point I want to make is that you need to have a personal board of directors. Who is it that you seek for counsel? So if you're going to try to get better or go for that job, who's going to tell you that you smell, right? That you're not prepared, that you need to do better. You need someone that's going to speak the truth and hold you to a higher standard. So find out who they are now, tonight, this week, and then leverage them for the rest of your career. Okay. Now, with that said, we're going to turn it over to Q&A, and the whole panel is going to help with that. So what do you guys want to talk about? I know it's getting late. Jim's giving me the hook, but any questions? Yes, ma'am. If you would, please.
Well, first off, thank you all for being here. I'm Ashley. I'm a senior HR and marketing double major, and my question for you guys is, what leadership strategy have you incorporated in your lives that's propelled you to the success you have today?
So just so you know, for stepping up and being the first question. There you go. And just to manage expectations, there are no more baskets. It's only one. Okay, why don't you guys?
I would say do the right thing. We all intuitively know what's the right thing to do. And it will catch up to you if you don't do the right thing. So if you're not helping your colleagues, if you're trying to take advantage, if you're taking credit for someone else's work, it never works out. The people that will make you, a lot of people focus on kissing up to the people above. Take care of the people that help you get there. And that will get you to where you want to be. Let the people below you help lift you up versus trying to kiss everyone's behind. Eventually everyone figures that out.
Okay. Other questions? Yes, but I will answer your question in a second. But I want to make sure I thank Ashley and Sydney. Where are they? They were so. Please stand up. These are the two ladies that brought all the product. They work here in Syracuse. Right? So I am living what Ryan just told me to do. That was a reminder. So thank you. Okay. And where's Colleen Truitt, by the way? So stand up, Colleen. So this is the woman you want to kiss up to, because she does all the talent acquisition for the Hershey Company globally. So there you go, Colleen. Okay. No, just yell.
Okay, so obviously millennials and Gen Z have brought a lot of shift in the business world. What are some challenges you face working with them, and how have you overcome that?
Me? Or AJ, you want to go?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is transparency. So folks that are just joining the company expect a lot of data, information, and dialogue, and they expect it really consistently. So as an example, we have an annual employee engagement survey, and we share the results with people, but we don't necessarily do it the second that we get the results. So one thing that we're going to do differently this year is that as soon as all the results are in, we're going to go back to all employees across the globe and tell them, hey, this was our participation rate. These were the most improved items. These were the items we didn't score as well in. And we're going to share that information. And for us, that's going to happen in pretty quick real time. So I think that's really healthy from an employee standpoint, because if you're going to take the time to survey, you need to be honest with people about what you learn, and you need to do something with that information.
I would just say that they have the same needs and wants as all 5 generations that are under our roof. The difference is they're willing to act on it. They're willing to flip us the bird and leave. And that's what we're trying to mitigate, is how can we communicate more frequently, with more transparency, so that they understand where they are and their path, their journey at the Hershey Company, so they don't have to go somewhere else. So it's not so dissimilar. We have to act, to AJ's point, with much greater speed. Yes, over there.
So I teach here. I'm a professor, and this question's for Nishant, because you said that when you went to your interview, just very, very quickly you knew you could be your authentic self. And I would love to know what your interviewer did, because I want every student in my class to feel that way. And I think we all do. So any tips you can give us would be wonderful.
I think the single question that I think was the unlock for me was, instead of asking the typical questions on, tell me about your background, your interest in this position, the things that we all expect, the first question he asked me was, if you had to give a TED Talk on a topic, what would it be and why? And that gets to the heart of who you are. It gets to your belief system. It gets to what your unique contribution should be to the world, and what kind of value system you bring to the workplace. It's an incredibly deep question that requires a lot of introspection when you think about how high the bar is for what would merit a TED Talk. And that led to a really interesting discussion. I didn't have a very well thought through answer then. I think I talked about something we've talked about, internally since, around how diversity needs to be more inclusive in how you define diversity, and it should go beyond color, it should go beyond sexual orientation, it should go beyond the typical boxes that are so easy for us to understand, but are inherently so reductive. And it's important to look at everyone for the entirety of who they are, the kaleidoscope of their experiences and beliefs. And I think that led to such an authentic dialogue about who I was in my heart, that it was the kind of conversation I've never really had since with someone that quickly. I think with other people, it takes building trust, it takes building a connection, but for that to have been the first question the moment you walk into the room told me everything I needed to know about him as a mentor, as a coach, as a boss, and then more broadly about the company.
I think it's important to note that the gentleman that asked the question was a man named Wahid Zaman, who was the son of a Pakistani diplomat, a very global soul. And his insights, his perspective on the world were so very different. I mean, he was an amazing talent to have at the company. So I think that intellectual dialogue was part of that. Yeah, so what else? Yes? Oh, no, okay. There were two that way.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm an MBA student. I also work here at the college, but I must say that I absolutely loved the Not Sorry campaign. I just thought those were absolutely hilarious. But I'm just really curious, how do you guys come up with a specific content for that campaign? I guess, where do you get your inspiration from, if you could shed some light on that?
So we work with an agency, our creative agency. It's called Anomaly. Well, this work started back, probably was like the first meeting that I had on the Reese's brand. I joined like a year ago, this role. And it really started with understanding really what the consumer really saw on the brand, right? Like what really triggered what consumers love about Reese's. And Ryan Reese, he worked on the brand before me for 2 years, 3, different roles. And he understood like the DNA of what we were about. And it was so powerful, like we call it our 4 box, is our position. It all starts with what is the brand about. In our brand idea, it's all about being the champion of craving. It's all about, we know consumers really want to go for what they want, and they want Reese's. So we're just embracing it, and that's why our campaign is all about being that playful instigator. We know you want it, and we are not sorry about actually making you want it or recognizing that you want it. So it was an evolution of work, but it started with like understanding the consumer, and I was fortunate that I had Ryan on the team at the time, and he understood the brand so well for me in my first few months in the brand. It was awesome.
No, it's just, it's great to hear that it resonates with you, because that means we did something right as a marketer. I mean, great marketing is supposed to like talk to you. It's supposed to be like, yep, that's true. Like when you read that book and it's like, or that song, and it's like, man, like someone else knows what I'm feeling. That's weird. Like, how do you know what I'm feeling? That's what you try to do as a marketer. And, we all kind of like, you talk to people and it's like, I don't feel bad at all about eating Reese's. I love it. Like, you can take your kale and your everything else. Everyone's saying this is what we want to do and all this other stuff. I don't feel bad, And I think that's what we really like. We weren't afraid to speak that back to you.
Okay, we have time for one more question, and before I ask it, I just want to thank the panel for taking time out of their day, their families. Right? You guys are awesome. Okay, so one more question. Does I see a hand there? Okay, yes, sir.
Hi. So I just graduated the class of 2018. I'm the current HR generalist at United Radio here in Syracuse.
Congrats.
Shout out to that.
There you go.
So obviously, as you know, just as well as I and other people in the crowd, that Moyne does a great job at developing us as students and also developing us to get those first jobs. What would you say, from your own advice, would be a way for us to develop as professionals once we get that first job?
So I would, again, start with the personal board of directors. Okay, so what is it that you need to know to be a better professional, better human, and regularly seek that out. Agree to, let's say, 3 discussions a year, and make it happen. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I would find who is the best and brightest out there that's thinking differently than you and understand what that looks like and add it to your agenda. Okay? There's no way you can be great at everything, so find who's better than you and then learn from them. Make it happen. The third thing is never be satisfied with your work. AJ will tell you, like, it's never good enough. Okay, so when we do our job, when we do our work, we got a bunch of stuff done that we're so proud of. It's not good enough, at least not for tomorrow. And so never be satisfied with your work product. And do that in a way that's not going to crush you, but in a way that's going to make you stronger. Okay, so take it for what it's meant to do. And then the last thing is make sure you have a platform to do great work. If you're not working for a great boss, if you're not working for a great company, change. Do not settle. Never compromise what you can do, what's your potential. Okay? Expect more, demand more, and deliver more. Okay? So hopefully that helps. Okay.
We are now going to invite Dr. Linda Lemira to give some closing remarks.
Students in the room, will you kindly raise your hand so I know where you are? Okay, I'm speaking to all of you. I can't attend a lecture of any kind without taking notes. I don't know, it's just part of the way. So I want to tell you what struck me from this panelist and from our alumnus, Kevin Walden. First, Brian said there was something inherently different about the Hershey Company.
He could feel, he could feel the passion. It felt real to him. It was a bona fide company that it walked the walk, not just about talking the talk. And because of that, he knew he could excel there. AJ said, this company was always on the right side of history on the social issues. And it afforded her the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than herself. That really resonated with me. Thank you so much, AJ. Nishant said he had been editing himself, trying to get comfortable with himself, and that ultimately he had the confidence and the courage to be himself, and that the best way to serve the company, Hershey, is to be himself. And because of that, he had the passion and the desire and the fortitude to give the company everything he had. In other words, it's sort of a love affair, if you will. I hope that's okay. Vera said she comes to work excited every single day, and she loves what she does. I do too. Thank you for that. Thank you. She talked about brand, purpose, and people. And when they intersect with one another, that's when you can find your life's purpose. And then Nishant said some things that really blew me away. He talked about some of the metrics. Now, you might not know this, Nishant, but you're 124 years old, right? Your company, not you. Yes? Today is the 478th birthday of the Society of Jesus. That is basically the Jesuit order. So even though we're young and we're really hip and nimble at Moyne College, we're part of something much bigger than ourselves. You said that you look for companies that have a comparative advantage. You said that there has to be a pretty good research and development arm. You said that you should really pay attention to debt, and without a margin, you cannot have a mission. You talked about things like M&A in order to diversify. You talked about the strength of the model, the ability to be innovative, nimble on your feet. Did I capture that? You did. Guess what? Hershey's and the Society of Jesus have so much in common. Huh? Come on! What?
Both are very sweet, Linda Lemira.
Thank you for that addition. Kevin, you are a quintessential Lemoyne Dolphin. What do I mean by that? You care about inclusivity and diversity. You are intellectually nimble, and you're incredibly humble. You have had an amazing trajectory in your career, and yet you like to spread the love among the people with whom you work. You're proud of your colleagues. I can tell it. You exude that kind of sense of collaboration and innovation. And it's because of that, young Dolphin scholars in the room, raise your hands one more time, keep them up for me, okay? Here's a role model for you to all look at when you're ready to graduate from this place, and something tells me, if you play your cards right, you may end up at Hershey's. Thank you all.
Thank you for that, Dr. Lemira. Now, I have a very difficult task tomorrow morning. I think you did it. I think you did it. Yes. I got to call Paul Galvin, and I got to tell him that he's the second best lecturer. And Father Marina, Joe, we know what Paul's going to say. Well, of course. It took 5 people to beat me. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. This was wonderful.